Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Mind-blowing day of action in the CDL today, starting with Toronto making a shock roster change before the day even began, and also OpTic's first series with Ghosty that Huke absolutely took over in the final map of this series. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. We have to begin though with this Toronto situation because a few hours before this there was some rumours circulating that Toronto, or at least some team, was considering some sort of move. We talked about it yesterday, of course, after their defeat to Boston, that Standy on an individual level wasn't quite the player that he was at the start of the season. The question was that I didn't think they'd make a change, right? I thought they'd at least stick it out a little bit longer. But it must be said, Hicksy last year, as you guys can see in the image on the right-hand side, played with Scrappy in challenges on the Toronto Ultra NA Academy. Scrappy clearly rates Hicksy, also rates Vickle, and I think Mohawk was on that team briefly. They made some changes, but he rates Hicksy very highly, clearly, to such a degree that it seems like Scrappy has made a kind of move here to drop Standy off the team. Certainly in the wake of the drama that Standy came out with after the fact, kind of, well, indicating that is indeed what had gone down. Must say this is a surprising move to me because Standy is, I think, well, potentially on his day a very good slayer. Hicksy, to me, is more of like a gap filler role player type player who was doing very well in challenges last year. Whether he can translate that to being effectively like the slaying SMG they need, because CleanX is going to be the impact guy, but he's never going to drop a 1.2. So, you know, you need Standy to do that, which he did at the start of the season, wasn't really doing it recently. Can Hicksy be that guy? I don't know. But, you know, interesting time to make this change. But clearly Ultra thought they were underperforming to such a degree that Standy had to go. And as he tweets out here, just got to work on myself, become the player I know that I'm capable of being, because individually he had fallen off. But is this the move that's going to take them where they need to be? I'm not so convinced. Neither is Scump. I'll share their perspective right here.
We will be moving Standy to a substitute position, and Hicksy will be moving to the starting role. Damn.
Oh!
What do you think about it?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like that.
Talk to me. That's not enough. Talk to me. Why don't you like it?
I don't like that move. I think Standy's ceiling is higher than Hicksy's.
I agree with that.
So let him develop.
But whose floor? Maybe they think his floor is lower than Hicksy's.
It could be.
Maybe they're maybe they prefer maybe more of a role player, because
role player. Exactly.
Toby CleanX is up in your face. He's like a thorn in your side.
Relentless.
He's running the map. He's slaying. He's.
I like Standy, man.
He's interactions. Like CleanX will go 40 and 40.
I think this is faded. I love Hicksy as a player. I think that Hicksy could be good for their team, but at the same time, like you said, I think Hicksy's just a straight role player.
Now, I like Grayson and these guys over at Toronto, but I couldn't help but think this was hilarious, right? Toadamandabo comes out with this, no drama or behind-the-scenes issues. Sometimes a change is just a change. Love eLLeY, that being Standy, and the passion and the talent he brings to the team. This is more a Charlie thing than it is an eLLeY thing. So Grayson tweets this out, and 20 minutes later, eLLeY Standy tweets this out. Had my own homie backstabbing me, we move forward. This, of course, was deleted within about 5 minutes, but don't worry, we all got it saved. Like, I obviously put this tweet ready to go so quickly that even though it's since been deleted, it's still here on my feed because I haven't refreshed yet. So Standy reckons he got effectively betrayed, stabbed in the back by his homie, right? Presumably one of his teammates that's been around with him for a long time. Now, this has got to be Scrappy. I really don't think there's any other good explanation here, because it's not going to be CleanX, it's not going to be Insight. These are two European guys that weren't even in the North American scene until relatively recently. I don't think Standy would be considering those guys homies, given he'd never really teamed with them before. Scrappy, Standy has played with for a long time now. I even found this here. This is a local LAN they played back in 2019 with, you know, Oog, Pemby, Ramby, Scrappy, and Standy. And even they were both on the desk, actually, or they're both on the flank, sorry, at Major 2, and they were discussing a little bit how you know, they used to play with each other at locals back in the day. Stuff like this, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, they kind of go way back. But Scrappy is on his Warlord grind at the moment, it seems. And, you know, he's going to, well, potentially has made this call to drop Standy off the team, or at least been involved in such a decision. Now, it's not just going to be Scrappy's call, but if Scrappy was pushing hard for Hicksy to come through and Standy was underperforming, you know, there we go, the change is made. Standy, though, clearly not happy about this at all and is ready to go for his revenge tour. So, you know, I would talk about this in more detail, but we've got plenty else to discuss today. Very much intrigued to see your thoughts in the comments section below. Really interesting change, certainly a surprising one, I thought. And yeah, regardless of whether it's good or bad, there's going to be drama associated with it because Standy certainly kicked that one off today. Let's talk the matches then. So Boston versus London. Man, this was a really close series. Game 1 was a London special. They somehow lose this game 1. I have no idea how. Funny really that Owakening, basically like yesterday, he was doing it all against Toronto. Today he basically did nothing at all, but it was Beans that stepped up on the AR position, and they somehow come back on London here. Like, when you see London in this position, you just know they're going to find a way to choke it. 252-48. They did, in fairness, though, bounce back in the search and destroy. Beans was getting hyped on it. I saw people comment yesterday's video like, oh, Beans, this guy had a rough first series, he's not it. It's like, and I'm like, okay, give him a couple of series and then actually make your mind up at that point. Now, game 2, in fairness, London did bounce back, won an impressive search and destroy. It does go game 5 in the end this series because Boston destroy them on the aLLEY control, not a map where London have had much success, to be honest, so far this year at all. But game 4 actually goes the way of London, and I was honestly pretty impressed with London this series, to be honest. I thought that their decision not to make a change was highly questionable. They looked honestly better than I thought they would look. Nasty on an individual level was a key piece of the puzzle here, and I still think Nasty is a better player than we've seen from him so far. In this series, I think we saw glimpses of it. Game 1, game 4 especially, Nasty was doing bits, and it was enough. Game 4 wasn't really enough over the course of the series, though. Especially when you've got Boston currently 0-6 in game 5s going in here in London, 1-4 in game 5s going in here. Like, who's going to win this one? Someone had to win, and in the end, it was Boston. London played this map pretty terribly, to be honest, but in the end, it was Boston that won it. And I mean, look, they finally won a game 5. It's interesting, to be fair, the fact that Zinni leaves the team and immediately they win a game 5. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, Zinni, as much as he's a lovable guy and a great player on his day, he might be one of the least iciest players in Call of Duty history. And look, someone's got to be the least iciest player in COD history. It might well be Zinni. It's been a thing for a while, and it's maybe not a massive surprise that after he leaves the team, they win a game 5. But maybe they were just playing London, right, who also aren't good at game 5 either. So still a good result for Boston nonetheless. Now, there was a bit of drama. Again, it's Call of Duty Esports, baby, because of the pings here. So Nasty talks about that they got robbed map 1. Check these fair pings, because he reckoned, well, he actually tweaked out here. They were on 30 ping at the bottom, and these guys are on 50 ping. Now, I mean, look, the league is meant to have this server distribution thing where it enables them to equalize the pings. The latency tool here that Dominate the coach is talking about to make sure that everything's on the same page. He reckons that was what the big break was for, probably, was them trying to figure out this ping situation. He was getting told the ping, the 20 ping difference was not that much, and he was saying, no, it is much, we've got to get rid of it. And look, at the end of the day, I understand the league is meant to have these tools to deal with these issues, but London are based in California. Like, it's a known thing. Don't try and play competitive COD at a high level from LA. You will generally get fried online, even if you are the World Championship team. So London are almost asking for it, I feel like, in this sense. And yes, maybe the league wasn't doing the great things with the tool, but, you know, it is what it is. If you're based out of California, sometimes this is just how it's going to be. So it's tough to feel too much sympathy, really, and they did just play individually, like, just poor in game 5. So tough scenes. Nasty, though, he had a great series, but it was Beans. 10k plus damage, by far and away the most damage in the lobby. Still, Nero was super impactful, though. And, I mean, yeah, great series from Boston. Just showing again, they've got many different tools in the arsenal here. This Boston team has to take over a series, but it was a close affair against London, but some game 5 eyes interesting for sure. Now, this series, I've got one highlight to share for you guys, and it's this one, because it went by so fast, I actually missed, honestly, I missed part of this series even go down. So Simp gets this ridiculous quad feed as well. Game 1 at Florida looked pretty good, and this is the thing with this Florida team, right? I do think they'll be better in respawn, but with no Major Maniac, there are some questions there, I think, about their search and destroy, right? And we know how good FaZe are in search and destroy right now. That is undisputed, going on a crazy S&D win streak at the moment. These were the overall numbers, and this is just one of those, like, FaZe series that they will do every so often to basically any team in the league. They've been doing this quite a lot lately, it must be said. And this time it's Slasher. It's not aBeZy, it's not Cellium, it's Slasher with a 1.7, most damage in the lobby, just about compared to Fellow. And yeah, pretty funny. I'm pretty sure Slasher had like 28 in game 1. Brack had 25 over the entire series. So yeah, not ideal, but sometimes FaZe just do this, right? They dominated the control. The search and destroy was so one-sided. So I mean, yeah, gotta say, FaZe are looking deadly right now online, and certainly on LAN as well, as we saw at Major 2. But let's talk then about the final series I'm going to cover in this video. OpTic Texas, first series with their new team, minus iLLeY plus Ghosty. Loads of interesting storylines here, and I feel like, honestly, this series kind of summed up the spectrum of what this new OpTic Texas team have to offer. Again, as as I said the other day, they're kind of like a pack-a-punch Boston Breach in a way. They've got kind of Boston Breach-esque situation going on, but they've probably got more talent on their team. And when they're all firing on all cylinders, like, they will just bowl over teams. That's what they did game 1. Exceed was trying his best. JoeDeceives goes 6-17, drops a 6-1, which is pretty crazy, but he couldn't do anything because all the cylinders here, like Ghosty, Shotzzy, Dashy, and Huke, they all played very well map 1. They won it super comfortably. It was clear from the very first few minutes of this game that it was going to go in a manner similar to this. And as I mentioned here, right, Huke individually, honestly, since the whole gyro aim assist thing that he has seemingly now turned off, he has been unbelievable, was crazy good map 1, but it was really map 5 where Huke made a name for himself in this series. We know who Huke is, but, you know, he has to prove himself again and again, and understandably with Pred probably wanting that spot, but he's certainly locking down his spot for now, there's no doubt about that one. Game 2 was pretty interesting. Shotzzy finally got a kill by this wallbang. He tries it every round, it seems, on the defense. He finally got a kill with it through the wall. I thought some were going to save this for champs or whatever, but we've seen teams use this lately, and it's pretty broken, to be honest, so whatever. And then Exceed, though, this was the play that won these LAG guys the game. Exceed, I'm not exactly sure what Dashy was thinking in this position, to be honest, so Exceed's trying to hold the rotate back. As soon as JoeDeceives gets the bomb plant down, he kills Shotzzy, and then Dashy surely knows that he can only challenge from here. Dashy runs away for some reason, and then a great read on Exceed to get the last kill as well with the stun grenades. So honestly, Exceed was like, he was going different this series. He was making unbelievable plays the entire series long. And then game 3, and this is where it's interesting for me, this OpTic team. Okay, they lost the Search and Destroy, whatever, but their control at this season, OpTic, they're like 6-11 this season in control. They've got a bad control record, one of the worst in the entire league, compared to the fact that they were the best control team in the entire game last year, especially for the first part of the season. They lose this round 5, a bit weird the way it even went round 5. Arguably, it shouldn't have done. Maybe it should have gone in OpTic's favour on the defense, but they still couldn't manage to win one. It does seem like, in fairness, with all the team changes they've made, the teamwork, the coordination in a game like this probably isn't going to be there, but that is the one thing that OpTic need to fix, I think, if they want to actually win a championship, is their controls just straight up got to get better. Their search is always going to be good with these players. Their hardpoint looked great today in general, but the control is where, you know, winners and losers are at times made, and I think that's where they've really got to focus on with this team. And losing in this manner was not particularly impressive against an LAG team that's not always super consistent in the respawn modes. They honestly, though, OpTic should have lost this series. I have no idea how LAG made this, well, allowed this to happen. Maybe they shouldn't have lost, but at least they should have had a more difficult time winning this map 4, because LAG had the full setup here over towards the P2, and I don't know what they were thinking. I guess LAG thought OpTic were going to take about 15 seconds to set up a break attempt and go for kind of a one-and-done break attempt to try and give it a go. I think OpTic thought, you know what, let's just flood the hill, and if we die, like, we're going to spawn up and have another chance at this, because there was just about enough time on the clock. So OpTic just walk in the front door. There was one player holding the front of the point tower. I have no idea what they were doing. There was 3 of them indoors. There was one player on the point, and OpTic just waltzed in through the front door. Nobody was here. They got the kill, and they just got the hard point. I have no idea what that setup was from Los Angeles Guerrillas, and it cost them the map. Maybe they could have won it. Maybe it was still 50-50, but this sent it to a game 5, and game 5 OpTic right now are a very scary team indeed, especially when Huke is playing like this. This is one of the best Search and Destroy performances I've probably ever seen in a map of Search and Destroy. Huke was absolutely having his way with the opposition. Didn't matter what his teammates did, didn't matter what the enemy did. Huke was always good for plenty of kills. He very quickly got his streaks. He went on a 12 streak here in the Search and Destroy, finished it off 14-1. Even the last round was insane. They were up 5-1. Huke was like, okay, I'm just going to run down mid and take these gunfights. Got 1, got 2, got 3. Like, this guy was different level. And yeah, since turning off that gyro aim assist thing that was affecting him apparently at Major 2, he does seem to have elevated his gameplay, and at a crucial time, of course, because Ghosty comes in for iLLeY. The question is therefore is an additional change potentially for Huke required to take this team where they need to be? Huke is saying that's not the case at all. Huke and Shotzzy were the standout performers of this series, apart from Exceed, who was actually the best player of this series, I thought. Like, he was unbelievable, apart from Huke in the game 5. Ghosty, his first series in the CDL, yeah, he wasn't crazy good, but 0.93, that'll get the job done. And if he's anything like Beans performed on Boston, then when they play their next series next weekend, it's going to be a big one. This is a massive must-win, though, for OpTic, because their run here is difficult, super tricky. They needed to win this series, and they've done exactly that. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.